Hey everybody, it's Tamara Williams Van Horn with Auntie Corn Leadership Strategies. How are you? I am still continuing to talk about strengths. It's going to be a really strengths heavy weekend. I am going to be on a panel again talking about cultural intersections with Clifton strengths. And so just to give you a little preview, it's for the Future of Strengths Conference by Joe Self, J-O, Self like yourself, Joe Self. Google that, type that into your search engine and find Future of Strengths. She has so many options for taking part in this this Future of Strengths like summit conference, convocation of folks really thinking forward about Clifton Strengths and where it can go, how it can go, AI, diversity, different applications in healthcare, in education, all sorts of things. It's a really amazing 3 days, and it's timed to coincide with the birthday of Don Clifton, who founded Clifton Strengths and purchased Gallup onto his organization that was already doing like these interviews, these positive psychology pieces. So the survey tool came, like, those of you of a certain age will remember that we used to get phone calls around dinner time and people would ask the head of the house or the lady of the house different questions. And so the Gallup poll came from that like phone-based survey. Again, I'm making like old people gestures here. At any rate, the Future of Strengths timed for Don Clifton's birthday. It's Friday, October 2nd, Thursday, October 2nd, Friday, October 3rd, and Saturday, October 4th. There, got it. At any rate, giving you a little preview about what I'm going to be speaking to in my portion of the panel. I'm really going to be talking about not just the culture of higher ed, but the cultures that emerge when you are operating from a marginalized background in a predominant majority institution. So, for example, schools like the one I work at were required to do some work to legally allow Black people, Asian people, Native people, disabled people, etc., what have you, to attend the university and to graduate with credentials. One of the most famous stories is about a graduate in the early 1900s who was, stellar, top of their class, and was not allowed to walk across the stage during graduation. And that had to be rectified 100 years after that incident occurred. So that's part of the culture that I'm talking about. Like, it's not just the culture, in other contexts. Like, a lot of times anthropologists, sociologists study culture, and they study like a neighborhood that is predominantly one ethnic or racial group. They might study, like deaf culture, which is very rich and very strong, and it's super interesting. If you've never looked up deaf culture, I highly suggest you look it up. But at any rate, there's culture. We often study culture through an iceberg, and there are things that are on the top, on the surface, that you can see, and then underneath there's just all of these other aspects to culture, like traditions and cultural norms, and like how people are raised, socialization. So culture is this big huge iceberg, and we as strengths coaches, we as strengths enthusiasts don't talk about the cultural intersections enough, I think. And so I'm really tipping my hat to Joe for convening conversations like this and making space for people to give their different perspectives, and also like ideas and tips and tricks for taking this tool into places that we think could really benefit from it. And it's not the same kind of market analysis, market research as a lot of people do. A lot of people like can just ask directly, what do you want? What do you need? What problems do you face? Etc. And this is slightly different. I mean, you can still ask people what problems do they face, but also sometimes you have to get creative around, how do I say, get creative around inserting Clifton Strengths as a solution, especially when it is single group. Again, I've said in many other videos where I talk about Clifton Strengths, I think there's definitely an issue where we don't usually go deep enough to really let the tool take root. We use it as kind of a checkbox, like I did strengths. We took the assessment, we had a team briefing. It may last an hour, it may last 4 hours, it may last a whole 8-hour day, or even like a leadership retreat where certain folks on the team or across teams get to come together. But very rarely, or relatively rarely, do we take people deep as a rule. And so oftentimes people of all stripes get this idea that it is perfunctory, that it is a labeling system, that it is boxing them in. And I will tell you that the very first thing they teach us in strengths training is that themes are neutral and themes are not labels. Talent themes are neutral. There is no, of the 34 talent themes in Clifton Strengths, no one is better than any other. No one is more predictive of success. No one is actually even more predictive of leadership. So you can be a leader with no influencing themes. You can be fully in your relationship building. You can be fully in your strategic thinking. You can be fully in your executing and still be a leader without having influencing themes in your top 5. Themes are not labels. First of all, themes don't show up by themselves. Themes play with each other. And secondly, themes are certainly not meant to box you in. They're meant to invite you into a language and into a conversation where your inner critic just has to take a back seat because you have all of this positive psychology and vocabulary to draw upon and apply in order to get to that near perfect performance that really indicates a strength versus a theme of talent. And we've talked about that in previous videos. Please check it out, and I will learn how to put the little doobly-doos in the top so that you can just click. At any rate, I want to wrap this up with, I'm going to be talking about, the cultures that emerge when you are a minority population and minoritized in terms of how the rest of the population treats you, sees you, etc. And again, these are broad swaths of social processes. I am not talking about any one individual. It's very difficult for one individual without the backing of policy, procedure, tradition, norms, practice, those under the water level pieces of culture. It's very difficult absent those deeper pieces. It's very difficult for one person to enact their worldview upon someone. I think Eleanor Roosevelt, no one can make you feel inferior without your consent. No one, but one backed by the history, the past painful experiences, the policies, the traditions, the practices, etc., can 100% make situations and environments where people are made to feel inferior. And I think sometimes a lot of people come in to Clifton Strengths with that knowledge and with that inner embodied knowledge, that epistemology that they're working from. And it can be really difficult to accept that this tool that's made by people not like them, people who look like the people who victimize them, and people who were 100% human and therefore probably were as much products of their time as we are of our time. And so it makes it hard for a lot of folks to think through and accept how this tool made by someone so opposite to them could be for them or could benefit them. And again, I am talking about swaths of people. I'm not talking about individuals. I'm not even talking about like certain contexts. You will land on certain campuses and they are all over strengths. And many, many HBCU, historically Black colleges and universities, many HBCU campuses love them some Clifton Strengths. And so by no means am I trying to, again, label anyone. I'm talking about my personal experience and my context of trying to deliver Clifton Strengths tools, Clifton Strengths philosophy, etc. In my work. And sometimes it's not always well received or received like it is the gift that I intend it to be. So having said that, that's some of what I'm going to talk about on the panel. And if you want to hear more, you can look up The Future of Strengths or Joe Self Strengths, and all of the information about how to get in there and log in and join or just get the recordings, etc. All of that is in there, and I would love to see someone who's been lurking, or I'd love to think that someone who's been lurking and maybe doesn't know us has been watching these videos and will come out and join us and continue to spread the strengths movement and the promise and possibility of strengths tools to really improve not only our lives as individuals, but also our well-being, which 100% is tied into interdependence and community. So I'm going to say adios here. Like, subscribe, pass this along to people that you know, like, and trust, and hit the notification bell so that you don't miss out on anything that we're bringing you. It feels like I'm on a Clifton Strengths run right now. Like I said, I have another strengths assessment called the VIA that I also really love and would love to talk with you more about. If you have any feedback, comments, things that have come up for you as we have been in this video, please put them in the comment section and I will definitely try and address those and get back to you so we can start a conversation and build a community. All right, I'll talk to you all later. Peace out.